Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Black Sitcom History. I'm Summer.
I'm Shannon. How are you, Summer?
I'm doing well.
That's good.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited.
How are you all doing?
They're doing good. I'm excited. We're back. It's been a little while. So we're just trying something out new, a new format, platform, or whatever you would like to call it.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into the episodes 7, 8, and 9 of season 4. So let's
Of
get
the
started.
Jeffersons.
Of the Jeffersons,
Yeah,
of
we
course.
want to bring this to video. We've done a video before of the podcast earlier on, one time.
One time, but were we actually on camera, or was it just like a?
We were actually on camera.
Oh,
I've got the video to prove it.
oh, we're posted, added to this.
It's on our channel currently.
Okay. Oh, subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe to our channel.
Thank you. Hit the thumbs up and like and notification button as well.
All right. So what are we talking about today?
We're talking about The Jeffersons, season 4, episode 7, The Visitor. This aired. Let's see, when did this air? Summer?
It's aired November. Oh,
No,
sorry.
October 29th, 1977.
1977. All right.
Florence is battling parents pay.
This is small. Hold on, let me read this. Florence's battling parents pay the Jefferson household an unexpected visit. This is supposed to be my job anyway. Okay. Arriving with some big news. So we get to see Florence's parents in this episode. Let's get into it.
So, Florence's mother makes an unexpected visit Florence, of course, not knowing that her father will follow shortly after that. Their plan is to actually get a divorce.
Yes.
And this is something that Florence is upset about, of course. Who wouldn't be upset if their parents decide to get a divorce, especially if they've been married for 40 plus years? I've told Summer in the past, like, if we make it past 30 years, we're staying with each other no matter what, because if you're with someone for that amount of time, you should be able to work anything out, and you should be able to know each other's flaws or whatnot to overcome situations like that. George is also determined to keep Florence's parents together. He also suggests, like, you all have been married this long. Why at this time would you decide to get a divorce? And basically, they said that they were tired of each other, but they knew what they were tired of, what made them tired of one another. And his comeback was, well, why would you want to try something new with a new person? You don't know anything about this person. You don't know their flaws. Whereas now you've been married for this long, you know this person's flaws, and you can easily overcome that, especially after 40 years.
Right. Yeah, so it's funny how in this episode that both the parents sort of run away to and end up at Florence's. I guess to get away from each other, but they ended up being pulled back together.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah, they were both trying to get away from one another and actually ended up to I guess you can call it almost a place of like a safe haven, like a neutral ground. They knew that Florence was a neutral person that they can to go to, which I disagree and I agree as being not a sibling, dependent of my parents. I don't think I would want to be that neutral person to come to when my parents are going through a divorce.
I don't think that's neutral at all. Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that probably, and maybe subconsciously they thought, okay, if we go, maybe Florence will convince us to stay together. Like just subconsciously, they were like not really in doubt. Because I don't know, I wouldn't go seek out somebody to talk to who I know would be against getting divorced.
Yeah. No child wants to see their
parents get a divorce.
No matter how old you are.
I'm not going to say every child doesn't want to see that, but most of the time, you don't want to see your parents get divorced. And why would you go to your child, your grown adult child at that? Sure, your grown adult child may be more mature and understand that, relationships don't work out, but you don't want to see your parents break up. So I think that deep down, they probably were wanting some. This is just my thought. Like they deep down wanted Florence, to change their mind. That's what I think.
Yeah, I somewhat agree with that, but I'm going to back up a little bit. No child actually wants to see their parents divorce, but sometimes parents bring out or show their dislikes towards each other or their conflicts towards each other in front of the children. And sometimes I'm sure children might think like, wow, I wish my parents would just split up.
That's why I think. I wouldn't say all kids don't want it, but most of the time you don't. But if there's a lot of drama going on, it's a lot of fighting, a lot of disagreements, or just a lot of unnecessary drama. You want to see peace more than anything, more than just your parents staying together. So I think that there are definitely times where children will be like, maybe y'all need to just do your own thing because you all are not getting along.
And I've seen
they want to see their parents getting along.
Oh, of course. I've seen situations where couples do it for the children, meaning they stay with each other for the children. And once the children are of age, they decide to say, okay, that's it. We did it for the children. Now let's go ahead and go our separate ways. I don't think that was a situation with Florence's parents because they waited 46 years. She's grown and gone. So I don't think that was the situation. I think it was one of those things where, like, for anybody, you come home from work one day, you're like, I'm sick and tired of work. You want to divorce yourself from work. Or you're sick and tired of a car. You want to divorce yourself from the car. But you know the flaws of that particular car, and if you get a new car, it might be worse than the car you have. So go ahead and stick with the car you have.
That's a very strong point. And it's not a point to say that you should stay in a situation that's toxic or just, otherwise ruining your life. But you never know. You can't just go elsewhere and say, oh, I'm going to just leave this relationship and maybe get into a better one. You'll get into a different one. It may or may not be better. It might, in fact, be worse. And that's why a lot of times people say, you got to work on yourself, spend some time on yourself, know yourself before you start getting into another relationship, because you will be bringing yourself into another relationship, and you were part of the problem that caused the relationship to go bad in the first place.
Yeah. And, I think also in this episode, they decided to stay at the Jefferson's house in the spare bedroom. And actually, it was a notion of them going to the bedroom to, have makeup sex or whatever. And sometimes that's all it might be. Not saying makeup sex, but just something new. You can't continue to just do the same old things over and over and over again. After 40 plus years, you definitely, it will be hard to come up with something new, but you have to think of newer things to keep the marriage spicy. Even at 70, 80, I still want to have fun with Summer, do things as if we were newlyweds all over again. And I think that's what keeps some, well, I won't say all marriages, some marriages, well off. It's not always about new things for everyone, because some people might be very happy with the way things are as is, but bringing new situations to a relationship, good things, is always a plus. It brings happiness to our relationship anyway. And I'm not trying to be a marriage counselor at all. I'm looking inside from the outside of people I know and see. Sometimes I feel like, oh, they might need to do this in their relationship, where it might not be that at all. They might just need just away time from one another, to actually miss each other.
Yeah, I don't have any general advice. Understand your relationship.
Yeah.
Make sure you are compatible with the person that you're with, because some of that newness, some people are not into the newness. Some people, things are always. I think my best advice that I could ever give to anybody, almost on any matter, not even just relationships.
Do
It's
what
just
makes
like,
you happy.
no,
Right.
but always expect things to change. Things are always going to change. Like, we know that. Like, it's obvious on the outside things change. Um, you know, I have more gray hair than I did when we got married. My weight might not be the same as it was when we first met and got married, right? Things changed. I got more fine lines and wrinkles than when we first. Things are always changing. That's just external things that change. But people change. Their interests change. They, just a one example, we don't drink anymore. Like, we drank more. I never really drank that much alcohol, but we basically become non-drinkers for a few reasons, but it's things change. People are not always going to be the same. So I think that if you have a very difficult time with people changing and not knowing how things are going to look, and I love Shannon as he is now, but I expect that over time, in 10, 20, 30 years, there are going to be some things that are going to change, and you have to be comfortable with things changing, right? That is a part of the newness of things too.
The
You know,
change part.
the change part. That's part of the newness. You go through evolutions. Sometimes you change, and I'm talking about things changing as like I talk about fine lines and wrinkles. Like, that's not, I'm not saying that's good or bad. It's just a reality, right? It's not good or bad. None of these changes are good or bad. They're just changes. But if you have a difficult time with changes, you personally are going to be changing. The person that you're with is also going to be changing. So together, that can be a lot for people to handle. I have no idea what was going on. What were do you remember the complaints that Florence's parents had with,
Yeah,
with one another?
They were stupid complaints. Like, all he does is sit and watch TV. It was just, crazy things like that.
Yeah. So it was not nothing even really bad. She was probably just annoyed.
He is annoyed.
Just
about it.
annoyed.
But one thing, well, I got several things out of it. The most important thing is, after so many years, you still can work out a relationship, and stick with each other. And it's nothing more beautiful for me in my eyes to see old couples that say, "Oh, we've been married for 50 years." And they're still like holding hands and like calling each other babe and boo and honey and things like that, So that was beautiful for me to see that. My parents, they were married for 30, 50. So they were married they would be married like 56 years, 57 years, somewhere around there. So, that's amazing. I want to shoot for the same goals with my marriage. And I hope you all will do the same.
Yeah, and I think too that another thing is when you embrace the change, know that, like with Florence's parents, you might have some annoyances, but have some of your own business to mind. Like, there are things that Shannon and I do together, like this podcast. There are things we do together, but he's not my sole source of entertainment. And I'm not his sole source of entertainment. He has things to do. If Shannon was sitting around here watching TV all day, so be it. I'd be doing something else. I might be sitting here watching TV with him, but if I didn't feel like it, then I go do something else. So, have some business to mind.
Yeah.
Have a hobby. Have a thing to do. Mind your own business sometimes. Let people be. Let people enjoy their rest in the way they want to enjoy it. Let people do the things that help them unwind or be happy or feel creative or feel I don't know, fulfilled, enriched, whatever that may be, even if it's silly to you. You know, for me, I like to watch decorating shows. That's a lot of fun.
I watch them.
And he'll watch them with me sometimes.
Especially if they're decorating like the backyard where the guys hang out or the man cave. I still watch it. With that said, don't forget you made a promise when you was initially married that you'll be with that person, death do his part.
That's what it is. That's
so
he forgot.
Keep that promise. And we're going to try and keep our promise and continue to give you these podcasts and YouTube videos.
Making no promise.
Yeah,
we're going to give you some podcasts. We will not promise a specific frequency, but we're going to do it, and we're going to see how this video format comes out. And if it works out, you know, hopefully it'll improve over time as well. Yeah.
That was episode 7, The Visitors. We're going to move into episode 8.
All right. Episode 8, which is called The Camp Out. When did that air?
The Camp Out aired.
Our trusty guide.
Write this down.
Google.
Oh, okay, here we go. November 5th, 1977.
It's okay.
Louise persuades George to take Marcus camping, not realizing that Mother Jefferson is arriving, forcing Louise to deal with her alone.
That part was funny, that she had to deal with Mother Jefferson, but I thought it was really sweet that George took Marcus camping.
So it was definitely sweet, but George tries to get out of a lot of things, and also he tries to benefit himself all the time.
Basically, yes.
That's his MO.
True facts.
I want to call him selfish, but he's really selfish when it comes to his business. He's always trying to find ways to find someone to invest or someone to help his business grow, which is not a bad thing, but it seems like it always comes with a cost. In this episode, I didn't realize that sometimes George's mother actually gets on his nerve as well. Because, so, Bentley is going camping, and Marcus actually comes over to the Jeffersons to discuss something or whatever, and he mentions that he always wanted to go camping, but his dad never took him, so Louise is trying to convince him to take him camping. And George is like, no, I don't want to go camping. I don't like camping or whatever. And Mama Jefferson calls and says she needs to stay over for the weekend because she's having her apartment painted. So George changes his mind all of a sudden. He was like, okay, Louise, you're right. I'm going to go ahead and take Marcus camping. And Louise is like, why the change of heart? And he said, well, Mama Jefferson needs to come over and spend the weekend, and she needs to stay here. So I'm going camping. That way you have to deal with her.
Did she? I don't think he was that forthright. I don't think he was that honest with Louise. Louise ended up figuring out.
Yeah.
But that sounds very, very honest of George. How you put it? He wasn't like that.
He didn't want to deal with Mama Jefferson.
He was like, "Oh yeah, I changed my mind. I had a change of heart." He definitely framed it as he had a change of heart.
Yeah. So
until Mama Jefferson.
Once again, it's benefiting him.
Right.
He doesn't have to deal with Mama Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
So him and Marcus are out camping or whatever, and a lot comes out from Marcus. Marcus is now a recurrent character on the show. A lot comes out with Marcus, and he's telling George how his father made a lot of promises and wasn't able to keep them. And he explains that his dad promised to play catch or whatever, but every time he came home from work, he was just tired. He couldn't play or wouldn't play with him or whatever. And George is trying to explain to him, you have food on the table, you had clothes on your back. So your dad really did care about you. It's just he was working hard to make sure you had a better life and was living a better life.
Yeah.
And it also comes out that Marcus' father died and never accomplished any of the promises that he promised Marcus. And George determines that, well, maybe you're just upset about his death and not upset about the fact that he didn't, keep his promises like he said. And this kind of touched home with me with as far as my father's passing. He did a great job keeping his promises, but it was like I think I was more upset about the fact that while I was going through some adulthood issues, I wouldn't call them problems, but just issues, I never had the chance to talk to a elder male about those issues, so I had to work them out on my own. So I was upset about that part. I was never upset about the part that he passed. Of course, it was hurtful or whatnot, but back to Marcus and Mr. Jefferson, he was able to help Marcus understand life pretty much, and that certain things happen that are out of our control, and you have to learn how to think of the good things that the person did for you to help you become who you are today. And also understand that death is part of life. And you have to move on with your life. Not saying move on and forget about the person that passed away that you cared about, but life goes on. We cannot put life on pause and wait till you're ready to actually cope with situations. I mean, death in this case. Mm-hmm. You definitely have to move on. You also have to find ways to cope with death. Everyone copes differently. My coping mechanism was when my father passed away, I was like spending money like crazy on just things. If I wanted it, I bought it, and that was the way I coped with it. But I think George finally became a psychiatrist and helped a young guy out.
Yeah, he made a good point too on the sort of moving on and coping part. George made a good point about Marcus's father, saying that his father, even though he didn't live up to his promises, he didn't come through before he died. He gave Marcus something to look forward to, which can get a young person really excited. I mean, of course, to not fulfill any of those promises can be really disappointing. But George, sort of coming back in with the reality check, saying like, hey, you can keep blaming him, but you can try to make do on the promises yourself. Do the things that you wanted to do, or the things that you wanted to do with your dad, or you just wanted to experience, not necessarily with your dad, but just things you wanted to experience. You can still experience those things, and hopefully move on in a more productive way.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on what you're saying. It's like, even though your dad promised you those things, you weren't able to do them with him, mm-hmm. You still can do them. It might not quite be 100% the same, but you're still able to experience the things that he promised. And it also can bring back fond memories of that person. Like, my dad always said he would take me to do such and such, but he wasn't able to because he passed away. So I'm doing this in remembrance of him, or whatever. You can dedicate that to him or whatnot. And it might turn out, I don't mean to be funny, but it might turn out you don't like camping. Like, well, I'm glad my dad never took me camping because I don't like camping, But at least you were able to experience it.
Yeah.
So, like I said before, everyone takes death differently. Some people, I had a coworker, I want to say his mother passed away. It was someone very close mm-hmm. to him. And he was like at work that next day. I'm just like, why are you at work? You know, he was like, well, what can I do about this person's death? I'm like, yeah, I do understand that, but at least you should just at least take the day off, you know, or whatever. But and he kept working, didn't miss a beat, didn't miss a day. It just so happened the funeral fell on his off day.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, it was like he just
He was
kept
back
pushing.
to the next work day. He was back.
And I don't know. He said he loved his mother dearly. They never had issues or whatever. But I guess he's one of those people that really, really goes by the rule of life goes on, you know. And hopefully wasn't holding everything in and have to break down one day.
Yeah.
You know, because I find myself certain situations. It's like since my dad died, I'm like a crybaby with stuff now, man. I be crying. I'm like, why are you crying, dog? You know, I try and man up, like, why are you crying? You know, but and I believe, you know, not that I actually start thinking about my dad, but it was just my dad was the first funeral I went to that really like hurt me. You know, I've been to funerals, family member funerals, but no one as close as my dad. And I'm just like, okay, when are we going to the repast so we can eat? You know, but when my dad died, it totally different. And I think that brought some emotions out of me that I've probably just been having all my life, but just never actually showed them. So anyway, not to get all sentimental on everybody, especially myself, but so I commend George for, you know, giving some sound advice to Marcus, and hopefully Marcus takes this advice and continue to live his life as if his dad was alive, and he can keep some of those promises, not only for him and his father. So that was The Camp Out.
The Camp Out.
Episode number 8.
All right.
Now what are we going to do, Summer? We're going to move on to episode number 9.
So, you want to get into a poll?
Oh,
or
yeah.
you want to do that after number 3?
No, let's call this like an intermission, but we're going to do the poll. So let's do the poll really quick.
Okay. So, the other day, we had posted something on, reposted rather, something to our stories on Instagram, and it was a poll that I want to give to you all today. And check out our podcast. The poll should be on Spotify, and you can see the poll, and you can participate in giving us your answers to the poll. Also, check out the. I'll have that posted up again on Instagram, so you can check that out as well, and you can leave a comment there as well. But here's the poll, and I thought it was a really cute one. So it's about bougie characters from Black sitcoms. All right. Out of these 4 characters, who is the bougiest? Okay. Number 1, we got Miss Hillary Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Okay. That's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, we got Regine from Living Single. Okay. Number 3 is Tony Childs from Girlfriends. And last but not least, Miss Whitley Gilbert from A Different World.
I was crushing hard on her.
Jasmine Guy.
Jasmine Guy, and then she came out with that single, Try Me. Remember that song?
I do remember that. I kind of remember the video, too,
I think
a little
that was
bit.
the first single I bought from a female. A female, female. What's a female?
Female.
A singer female? Yeah, from a female.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my gosh. I'm pretty, lots of folks were crushing on Jasmine Guy back then.
And then Dwayne Wayne kind of looked like me, or I looked like him, so I was like, I might have a chance to score.
Did you have a little
I had the glasses,
flip-up
too. Oh,
glasses at one point?
Find that picture and post it.
Look.
I have it.
If I can somehow figure out how to do that,
I have that
y'all
picture.
Check out.
I have my flip-up glasses, my turtleneck. I was on.
Did you have the Gumby haircut on that one? Like or did you have the bleach hair?
I have to.
Because he used to have like the remember Kwame?
I used to have
the
Kwame
bleach
I
thing?
was on, man. I was ahead of my time, man. Telling you. But if I had to pick, even though I didn't watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that much, I think I'm going to go with her.
Okay. Hillary Banks.
Hillary Banks.
Okay. Why?
But she was kind of dingy too, kind of.
She was not portrayed as very bright.
Right.
No, not at all.
So I might have. Yeah, I think okay, I'm going to go with her because she was also her daddy like spoiled her too, like, and it showed on the show. Whereas the other three characters, it didn't really. Well, Jasmine Guy, her parents, they called a lot in the episode and they showed up a few times, but Hillary Banks, her dad, like spoiled her anyway. So that made her like double bougie, I think.
I think it was like because she wasn't that bright. Like the other characters, Ashley, Carlton, they seemed like they had a little more sense.
Yeah.
And she just seemed completely out of touch.
And didn't really know the value of a dollar or knew where a dollar
came
came from.
She seemed a bit out of touch.
So
I think she was coddled a little bit more.
Right. And it made her.
She was the oldest child too, I think. So maybe they spoiled her, and then the other two they eased up on the spoiling.
I guess it got a little costly for them, so they said we can't do that. But
I don't know.
I think because she was portrayed as not knowing where money came from, or like it grew on trees, that she was able to do and have whatever she want, And what is a good definition of bougie?
I don't know.
Because you can be ghetto bougie,
I'm not going to look up ghetto bougie. I'm just going to look up bougie and see what.
Because.
What it means.
Okay. Well, my definition of ghetto bougie is pretty much living way out of your means to try to be bougie. So I guess I'm going to rephrase that as, let's see, unfinancially bougie instead of ghetto bougie. Because there's people that are, have finances where they can be bougie, but they're overspending, and that makes them unfinancially able to actually be a bougie person, if that makes sense.
So here's a good one from, I don't know this website, Amazing Talker. Let's see, living a larger than life or luxurious life, yet at the same time being, I don't think that's a good definition. But just being fancy. Fancy people. So because of fancy, like I don't think that Hillary is just a little bit out of touch.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't describe her as particularly fancy necessarily. I will tell you my pick.
Okay.
So at first I was going to say Regine because she was a little bit extra, and for some reason I always thought that, glamorous people or fancy people were like her. Like she was one of the first characters I can recall who would just be switching out wigs every episode, like or even multiple times within an episode. Like she had, her exercise wig, she had her going out wig. So she was always switching up wigs. And I was like, oh, she's like kind of being fancy. Like she wants to always look put together and have the hair done. Not that they were necessarily wonderful looking wigs or anything, but I just thought about it. She had an air of fanciness about her. Whereas the other characters were a little more down to earth, right? But she's not my pick, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's not my pick.
Who's your pick?
And also, the other reason why I thought that I was going to say Regine, because I cannot remember Regine's last name. I can't remember her last name. I got to look that up. But I was like, oh, I only remember her from like one name. And I don't think that's even her character's real name. I think that's a name she gave herself. So that's kind of to me like just trying to be fancy. Like you're trying. The bouginess is kind of seems like a try hard type of thing. Not necessarily, but it seems like you're trying. I would say, I guess I'm going to go back to Whitley Gilbert as the most bougie. She was the first character in her family, were the first people on TV, like black people I saw on TV, who had who looked like they came from generational wealth, right? Like truly wealthy people, not upper middle class or anything like that, but truly wealthy. At least that's the perception, you know. She was a true Southern belle. So with that Southern belle-ness, if that's a word, it's not a word, but I just made it up. So with that Southern belle-ness, there's a sort of fanciness as well to that. Like you had a cotillion, you know, you wore the cotillion dress and you did the whole thing, right? So to me, she's like fancy, not unintelligent, but fancy and came from generational wealth. And I'm going to say she's the bougiest of them all.
But can you mistake bouginess for confidence, like in a person? Like, I don't know if you can intertwine the two.
I don't think they're the same necessarily.
Yeah. So I guess I have to get a correct definition of what bougie is. I'm just going by what I know or what I've heard. I don't know like how to explain a bougie person, I guess. You know, because sometimes bougie people are just mean people, and they mean, but they come off.
What's the definition of bougie?
We have it for you, but I want to. So let's see. So Regine, right? What's her last name?
I don't know. Okay, I'll look it up.
Okay. So I vaguely remember her own girlfriends. So I can't really comment on her too much. Because I mistaken her for the lawyer person. Who was she? Diana Ross's daughter? Or
That's a different show. That's Girlfriends.
Girlfriends. Oh, okay. That's why I'm confused.
Oh, so Regine is Kim Fields. You know Kim Fields.
I know who Kim Fields is.
So
I had a crush on her
Hunter.
too.
Regine Hunter. Yes.
Had a crush on her since Facts of Life. So, well, you guys let us know who you think was the most bougiest character on those 4 shows. A Different World, Living Single, Girlfriends, and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yes.
So let us know.
And this is who I'm talking about. This is Tony Childs.
I remember her.
This is the other one you thought.
Yeah. They look alike to me. Everyone looks alike to me on TV.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that, Shannon.
Let's do that again. Let's have another poll next time. I like that. So we're going to continue with the Jeffersons. This is episode number 9, The Last Leaf. This aired November 12th, 1977. Right. This one was kind of cool because I had to think if I have any superstitions that I believe in. So Louise it's not even necessarily a superstition, I guess. She just had a belief that her corsage
was lucky,
and if she lost it or if it was damaged, her marriage would come to an end, basically.
Okay.
So I want to ask you something before we get started into it. Do you have any superstitions that you believe in?
Nothing like that. Nothing like, I don't know. Like there are certain things I don't do because
could I have one?
Certain things I don't put on the ground.
Yeah, that's.
Like I wouldn't put my purse on the ground on purpose. Not on
Okay.
purpose. If it falls, it falls. But I wouldn't purposefully put my purse on the ground. Like I don't think any bad luck is going to come.
Right.
It just doesn't seem right.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like it should be on the ground.
But
Yes.
explain the logic of that. Like, why wouldn't you put your purse on the ground? What do you think would happen?
I don't think anything would happen other than you have a dirty purse.
A dirty okay. So,
For
but
me.
what have you heard would happen if you...
I don't know.
Okay, so-
because sometimes when people have these superstitions, so I've gotten things, and people are saying like, "Oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that." Like you shouldn't split a pole. You heard
So-
that? You shouldn't split a pole.
Okay. So
I don't.
I don't do that just because I heard not to do that. I don't know what would happen if you do it, but I don't do it because I heard not to do it. So back to the purse thing. So what I've heard is if a woman puts her purse on the ground, she will end up broke, meaning she would lose money somewhere somehow. Now, I have to cross lines a little bit because I want to know, like, is that only like a black superstition, or like, is that,
I don't think so.
or does that cross all color
Yeah,
boundaries? I know,
so
like
at all.
splitting.
I don't even think I heard it from a black person.
Oh, really?
The first time.
Well, I know, like splitting poles. That's like across all
universal.
races. So I was going to bring up splitting the pole. Spider webs. I heard that.
What's that one?
You shouldn't, like, if it's spider webs in your house, you shouldn't wipe them down or wipe them away or whatever, because that brings bad luck to the house. So spider webs are like good luck, especially if it's not a spider in there, of course. I guess the luck is that the spider left. You just have a spider web.
That seems very dusty.
That's
Okay.
Other than that, I don't have any other superstitions. You know, so
Something I'm reading something about the purse and it's talking about it shows a disrespect or disregard for your money.
Yeah,
So,
so-
it's like I guess I was like it's a disregard. Like this is like it houses my money. It
So you
houses
don't
other
care
things.
about it by just putting
it's
it
like
on
I
the
don't
floor.
care about
Yeah.
it. I don't necessarily think I'm going to be broke,
Right.
but I definitely want to have some regard for earned money, gifted money. Doesn't matter anything.
So I was close.
Respect.
I was close.
I think too is probably what you said is true too, but it's like not good luck.
Yeah.
I think I've heard too from someone that you should not give someone a purse as a gift or a wallet as a gift without any
Putting
money in
some-
it.
I've heard of that for real, but I didn't know that was like a superstitious thing. I just thought.
Not necessarily superstitious. It's just like it's like not right.
Well,
I don't know. You know, I never ask people. I'm just like, oh, was that what you did?
Well, this is the first time I
Last question.
heard Summer mention that, because I've bought her many of purses, and she
Without any money
yeah,
in
she
it.
never looked inside and said, like, where's the money? I
No,
don't know.
no. That's just what I
Yeah.
heard.
Anyway, so Louise is she wants to show Helen and Mama Jefferson and Florence the flower, the corsage that she had, and she keeps it in a book.
Mm-hmm.
She brings the book out and tries to show it to them, but it's missing. So now she's all concerned about her marriage with George. And I don't think anyone else would be concerned about their marriage with George besides her. So George is like, what's going on or whatever, and she's like, well, I can't find the flower, and he's trying to convince her that nothing's going to go wrong with their marriage or whatever. So he goes out on a limb to go find a corsage to replace the corsage that's missing, and turns out it's the wrong type of flower. And Louise goes along with it with George, like, oh, it's here. Our marriage is saved. I have nothing to worry about or whatnot. And Louise tells Florence, like, I know this isn't the flower, but I know George loves me that much that he would go out, out of his way to produce something like this to keep me happy.
Right.
So I now know that missing a flower doesn't interrupt our marriage or bring bad luck to our marriage or whatever. And it's something that I would definitely do as well. You know, I think I tried to cover up. I think I broke one of my mother's glasses or vases or something. I tried to go.
Does she know?
Buy I'm sure she knows.
She knows.
You know.
She's gonna know.
So, and I tried to. I didn't try and replace it. What I tried to do was hide it and replace it with another item that she had in the house.
You just like redecorate it?
Tried to redecorate it or whatever.
Okay.
And I really can't recall if someone needed to borrow that particular item or something. And she already knew. She was like, "Oh, Shannon broke it." And I was like, "Oh, you knew." You know, it was something crazy like that. I mean, I was like 11 or 12, but I remember replacing something with an item she already had in the house, just rearranging it. Hopefully she wouldn't notice it or whatever. But I want to know some superstitions that you all may have that that we didn't mention are in all cultures, because everyone has a different superstition or whatever. I know some people that I don't know if that's superstition though. I guess that's like some people open all their Christmas gifts on Christmas Eve, like not a religion. It's more like not a ritual. What's
Tradition?
Tradition. That's the word I'm looking for. More like a tradition. So yeah, I also heard of one where older people, they don't allow people to cook in their kitchen. So have you ever heard that? Maybe they just don't like people cooking in their kitchen. I don't know.
They don't like people cooking in their kitchen.
Yeah.
I never heard of that one.
Anyway,
or being in their kitchen, or
so I really have another one that all the guys know, and I'm just gonna leave it at this. You guys will have to look it up on your own because I don't want to really mention it. But it's if you're dating somebody, do not eat spaghetti from them if they cook it. That's all I'm going to say on that one. You never heard that, huh, babe? Okay.
Okay, I guess I'll have to look that up too.
You have to look it up. So I'm sure the fellas know what I'm referring to because I'm sure you heard it. Okay, I have one more, and then I'll leave it alone.
I make spaghetti all the time.
But we're married.
Oh.
You never cooked spaghetti for me before we got married.
I did not.
Right, and if you would have, I wouldn't have eaten it. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so
all
yeah.
Right.
So have you heard this one? If you take your mate's underwear or panties and bury them in front of the door, they will never leave you. Have you ever heard that?
Your significant other?
Yeah. You know. Yeah. Okay. So
I've heard the who you're with on New Year's Day is who you're gonna spend the year with, or
maybe
something. I don't
maybe
know.
the year,
not
the rest of your life at all.
I never heard of the draws.
Yeah,
one.
because I've spent New Year's Eve with people, and by Valentine's Day, it was kind of done and over with. So, but babe,
yes,
I have to say this. I enjoy talking to you, not only about the Jeffersons, but just how it leads us down other conversations that we might not have without the Jeffersons, like superstitions or whatever. So we got to continue doing this. Like Summer said in the beginning, it might not be as frequent as you all would like, but we will continue to bring them to you all when we definitely have the time and make the time. We do other things. We work, and we work out. This is the cycling season for me, so I've been hard at work riding my bike. So a lot of things changed.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep it coming.
All right.
Thank you.
I enjoy as well. Thank you so much again for the good conversation, Shannon.
Yes.
And thank you all for tuning in and listening in. And we'll be back. Hopefully we can keep this video format going for you all. And if you are listening to us, just listening to us, check us out on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is called Black Sitcom History, and that's where you can find us. We have a few audio recordings on there, plus an older video, so you can see, how we've aged over the last 2 years.
And you know what? I suggest that you all actually watch some of the episodes.
Yes,
there
sure.
might be some parts we missed. There might be some mistakes we made in the episodes. Let us know. And tell the truth, there's some comedy in there. There's like a lot of comedy. You will laugh. And
they are comedies.
we have to bring this conversation up in another episode, Summer. But the two of us and our daughter, so the three of us, we had a conversation of how black people are being represented in
media.
Mm-hmm. So, and there might be a show out there that's definitely showing some positive black families or black characters. I don't know of any right now, but there's a million shows on TV,
But what is positive, though? What has to be positive? Maybe it's just reality of people. What's positive? The conversation we were just having was about representation and, whether it matters, whether it doesn't matter.
Right.
And I think your
response was
you were talking about positive.
Right.
I was just talking about representation in general. Generally seeing people that look like you on TV.
Oh, okay.
And maybe if you go a step further, seeing people that look like you on TV in to me, I should say regular everyday life roles, like, and not stereotypical roles.
So
like stereotypical is like maybe Boys in the Hood. Although a good film, that's a stereotypical way to see black folks.
Well,
And maybe just a regular way. I mean, could be stereotypical or not, but just a regular, normal way would be in a show like maybe Insecure. These are just regular people. They're just doing regular people stuff because black people are regular people.
I took the conversation down another path then because you didn't mention positive. I brought that in. So let's take that out of the equation, the positive part. Let's take that out of the equation. So, but we'll bring that conversation up another time.
Yeah.
Because there are definitely black characters on television and TV. Rather positive, negative, or whatever they are there for sure. But I was going to also say that there's like a million different TV shows on television right now. There's no longer the three major channels, ABC, CBS, and NBC. See, I forgot. Yeah. There's so many, and there's so many shows that people watch. People at work say, Shannon, have you ever seen this show? Never heard of it. It's really good. You should watch it. Okay, but by saying that, I'm sure there are, black people being represented
like
on
Abbott Elementary. That's a good example of a show. Yes, it is a show. It's a show that could be cast with anybody, really. It doesn't have to be there's a number of black stars on the show, but those characters don't have to be black people. They don't have to be. And there's nothing wrong with having a character that's specifically black, or specifically intended to be black. I would say something like Insecure, the characters are maybe specifically intended to be black. The dialogue is relatable to me as a black woman. But you can be specifically black and stereotypically black in a negative way, right? And painting a broad negative depiction of or in very limited view. So I think that the representation that I'm talking about is just, it matters that the image of black people in media is not so narrow in that it's very broad. And sometimes it can be super generic, like, okay, any person could have played that role. But if you see somebody who's playing a teacher, like, okay, great, I can be a teacher. Or a doctor, I can be a doctor. Or an engineer, I can be an engineer. Or, someone who's working in business, I can be a software developer, like anything. But it's the importance of the representation comes from seeing diverse representation. When I say diverse representation, diverse Black representation, and not just the ghetto best friend side character, right? Although there are ghetto best friend Black people in the world. These people are, the stereotypes don't come from nowhere, but we don't want the folks to be this limited. We don't want to see ourselves this limited. We have a lot of experiences in the world, in America. As Black people, we have diverse experience. So the representation I'm talking about is just seeing a diverse representation of Black people doing different things, having different experiences, having quote unquote Black experiences, and maybe just regular experiences. That's kind of the mix of, I think, almost everybody's life, at least the people that I know.
Well said, Summer. The show is over. This is all bonus. This is like extra
content.
Yeah, extra content
for free. All right, y'all. So Shannon got me going.
All right, man.
All right.
We will see you all and talk to you all later.
Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Goodbye.